Early in January, I reviewed the MediaTek variant of the Redmi Note 3, after which Xiaomi launched the Snapdragon variant here in India. So does this change what I've had to say about the Redmi Note 3? Well, let's find out. But before we do, if this is your first time here or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, this is C4eTech and you're watching my full review of the Xiaomi Redmi Note 3. Let's get started. Both variants of the Redmi Note 3 are built identical, so if I were to say play this clip from my earlier review, the power button and volume rockers can be found to the right, the micro USB port and primary microphone reside at the bottom, the dual SIM card tray sits to the left, and up top we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, secondary noise cancelling microphone and an IR blaster. If you've noticed, the design language still remains similar to the Redmi phones of the past, it's just that Xiaomi's gone with metal instead of plastic here. The Redmi Note 3 is a little shorter than its predecessor, but it's also 0.4mm thicker. This thickness is largely due to the presence of a 4000 mAh battery this time. It's a marvel that Xiaomi has managed to achieve an almost 33% boost in battery capacity without affecting the form factor or weight. And all that still holds true for this variant of the Redmi Note 3 as well. So what's new? Well, three things. First, the micro SIM tray now comes with a hybrid slot, meaning micro SD is back. Number two, the chip underneath. The Redmi Note 3 sold in India comes with the Snapdragon 650 chip. So that's two high-performance Cortex-A72 cores clocked at 1.8 GHz each, four power-efficient Cortex-A53 cores clocked at 1.4 GHz each, coupled with an Adreno 510 GPU, and 2 GB of RAM on the 16GB variant, 3 GB of RAM on the 32GB variant. The benchmark scores are great, and even with day-to-day intense scenarios like gaming, this phone holds its own. Higher scores and smoother performance than the already stellar MediaTek variant of the Redmi Note 3. That said, this is still a mid-range chip, so with the most intense of titles, there were a few frames dropped, but those were more the exception rather than the norm. For the most part, the performance here was great. And on top of that, it didn't exhibit any signs of overheating either. Audio via the earphones, speakers, call quality and cellular reception all remain similarly good here. So did the improved internals have an adverse effect on the 4000 mAh battery inside? I'm happy to say no. In fact, the battery life is markedly better here, especially the looping video playback. While the MediaTek variant lasted about 10 hours on a looping video playback test, this Snapdragon variant lasted a little over 18 hours. Now that's a huge increase. This meant that the Snapdragon variant got me through almost 2 days on a charge with moderate usage and well over a day even with intensive usage. If that isn't enough, you can always resort to Xiaomi's battery profiles to help you get more out of this battery. The display is the same, a 5.5-inch IPS LCD panel, sharp with rich colors and ample brightness levels. Sadly, there's still no mention of protection and the glass remains reflective, meaning the experience outdoors isn't great. The last change here for the Snapdragon variant of the Redmi Note 3 is the camera. We now have a 16-megapixel rear camera with an f/2.0 aperture and face detection autofocus. There's also a dual-tone dual LED flash thrown in. Now, despite the bump in resolution, not a lot's really changed. The software remains the same, the camera is still quick to focus, the shutter response is fast. Under well-lit conditions, this camera performs decently. Good color reproduction, not much noise, but the detail levels are average. It got the white balance and exposure right at most times, but that said, the dynamic range is lacking. Under artificial and low light scenarios, the performance dipped. A lot of noise crept in, but given the price segment, I'd say it's still acceptable. Now, even though the Snapdragon 650 chip supports 4K video recording, Xiaomi's disabled it, so the max you can get out of the default app is 1080p videos at 30 frames per second. And that footage, while not great, is kinda acceptable. There's some artifacts, a lot of software over-sharpening, and the lack of dynamic range is really visible here. But that said, again, when you take price into consideration, it's decent footage overall. With other camera apps like say the Google Camera app, you can record 4K videos, but here the camera constantly keeps hunting for focus. Not a great experience, and maybe that's the reason why Xiaomi's logged it at 1080p. maybe. Anyway, moving on, the 5 megapixel front-facing camera is decent enough for the occasional selfie. Now, with the software, the Redmi Note 3, this Redmi Note 3 is also running on MIUI 7, built on top of Android 5.1 Lollipop. Given that the Mi 5 runs on MIUI 7 built on top of Marshmallow, I'd have loved to see Xiaomi launch the Snapdragon variant with Marshmallow, but sadly that's not happened. So here's to hoping Xiaomi updates it quite soon. And I know, I just heard myself, Xiaomi and fast updates. I know. Sorry guys. Anyway, moving on. This is MIUI. Yes, while Xiaomi does not update Android versions quite fast, MIUI updates always happen. Bug fixes, new software features, those roll out very quick. So as always, MIUI on the Redmi Note 3 comes with a ton of features, the regular ones, the themes, the security app, the single-handed mode and all that. They're all present and included here. There are a few new ones as well, like the ability to use the fingerprint sensor to take selfies or lock individual apps. And those are welcome additions. And by the way, the fingerprint scanner issues that I faced with the MediaTek variant seem to have been ironed out, and the fingerprint detection now works very well. Overall, the user experience, the performance here is snappy, though the memory management does leave something to be desired. This is something we found out when we pitted the Redmi Note 3 against the La1S in a speed test, and the Redmi Note 3 does have quite a few issues with memory management. And I'm pretty sure if you guys actually read the comment section there, you can see people guessing as to whether it's memory optimization issues from developer options, the setting, or if it's the performance mode or a lack of one. But not really, it's just that MIUI is not the best when it comes to memory management. This is something Xiaomi's got to fix, and again, fingers crossed, hope we see a fix soon. So anyway, now even with these issues, the price, that's something no one can really have an issue with, because the Redmi Note 3 with all this is priced at 9,999 rupees. That's for the 2GB RAM, 16GB storage variant, and 11,999 for the 32 gig variant. Now that's about $180 for my international viewers. And at this price, Xiaomi has actually managed to provide an all-round package that's quite competitive. Well, yes, it does have some cons, and there is some quite healthy competition here in the segment, especially in India. But things like the insane battery life and the graphical performance that the Snapdragon 650, the Adreno 510 inside brings, that kind of blows away the MediaTek competition. It's things like these that give the Redmi Note 3 an edge. That said, you do need a lot of patience to be able to get your hands on this phone, because, well, flash sales. But if you do live in a market where Xiaomi doesn't officially sell this phone, you can import one via merrymobiles.com. They don't. That said, I just said you can always import one, but that said, they don't currently have it in stock. They do have the MediaTek variant in stock, and whenever they do get the Snapdragon variant, I'll leave a link in the description below. So, yeah, I said that. Anyway, I guess that's it for my review. If you did like it, if you didn't, if you have anything more to say, head on over to the comments below. And if there is any particular phone that you'd want to see me compare the Redmi Note 3 against, hit me up on Twitter at C4ATech or leave a comment below. So I guess that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4ATech. And oh yeah, hit the subscribe button, subscribe if you haven't already. I guess, going off script, I kind of forgot to mention that. So till next time, this is Ash here from C4ATech signing off. You guys have a great day and hit that subscribe button down below. Bye-bye now.
Кэшбэк-сервис letyshops.ru позволяет экономить на покупках в более 700 популярных магазинах. Зарегистрируйтесь сейчас и получите премиум-аккаунт в подарок.